Hello, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. It's time for tarot scopes again. We're going to be doing the tarot scopes for the sign of Aquarius. It's Aquarius Sun, Aquarius Moon, or Aquarius Rising for the month of October 2023. So before we get to the tarot, let's look at a little astrology. Okay, so I have some visual aids this month. This should keep me on track. It may not make it shorter, but it'll make it more organized. So we have a couple of things, and we have many things happening this month. Let's talk about the sun. Start with the sun. So the sun starts the month in Libra. Libra is a fellow air sign, so there's a flow between the sun and if you have planets in Aquarius. The sun moving through your ninth house. The ninth house is a house of broad perspective, philosophy, your ethics and morals. So things like social justice, which of course, as an Aquarius, is always on top of mind anyway. And the judicial system, things like that are in focus for you. And you're getting the information that you need to help to increase your understanding of things. Then the sun moves into Scorpio, of course, as it does every October. This October, it's happening on the 23rd. And this is your 10th house, your public standing. Of course, there's always some sort of stress when you're looking at your sort of first house Aquarius energy in a crisis in consciousness square to whatever's going on in that 10th house. And it really is a time where we are coming aware of what it is, especially after that period of time looking at things around social justice and perhaps what's fair and what's being fairly judged or not fairly judged. The sun moving through that 10th house brings up your authority in your life, but also sort of rubbing up against authority in such a way that you have a reorientation in your relationship to your own personal authority and to people in authority. So it's kind of very Aquarian in its nature, kind of rebellious, as the sun sits in that 10th house and moves through it. But it's not just the sun, because Mars and the sun are moving close together. They're not exactly. I believe Mars is leading the way here. Mars is in Mars spends the first, Mars goes into Scorpio on top, the first 12 days, 11 days of the month in that ninth house, which is a flowing aspect to the Aquarius energy. And Mars in Libra is about justice, right? It's about balance. It's about moving forward in a very sort of diplomatic way. So there can be some diplomacy, but then it moves on the 12th of October. And so it moves into that 10th house before the sun does, moves into that. So actually Mars moves into your 10th house first. So there's a lot of like energy in your career. There's a lot of energy to becoming an authority in your own life. And then the next thing that moves in is Mercury. And we have some vision that happens on the 22nd, and then the sun moves in on the 23rd. So really Mars is leading the way here. And, that sometimes starts with an argument, right? So we have the argument, and then we maybe have Mercury come in and discuss it. And then we have the sun come in and illuminate it. So a lot of activity actually for you in the houses that deal with your relationship to other people, and then your ability to sort of shine and be seen in the world. Venus, the planet of love, of course, has been in Leo, was retrograde in Leo. It doesn't actually get out of its shadow until I think the first week of October. where it really starts to move forward. And then I think on the 7th actually, and then the next day it moves into Virgo. Venus has been in that 7th house of yours for a while because of its retrograde period. You've been renegotiating relationships, perhaps really coming to understand what's important to you in a relationship. How can you be true to yourself and be in a relationship? That energy. And that's actually moving on. Venus is going to be moving into the 8th house, which is the Scorpio house. It requires a certain amount of transformation of the way we relate. And with Venus being in Virgo, the work gets done. So while there's been a lot of awareness around what your needs are and what your needs aren't, once Venus moves into the 8th house, I think things start to change in a way, and you start to make decisions and you start to make adjustments around those relationships. And then there's another area of relationship with Venus moving through that 8th house where we're dealing with the deeper feelings and sometimes feelings of betrayal. If that's the case for you or not, it may not be the case for you. But can I trust? Can I trust? Am I able to open up enough? Because that 8th house is a very vulnerable place. Can I open up enough to trust, to foster a relationship, to find somebody who has the same values or the same things that are important to them? That's important to everybody. It doesn't matter what sign you are. All right. Let's see. Mercury spent a lot of time in your 8th house, dotting your I's, crossing your T's when it was retrograde, especially with things like taxes and shared money and all of that investment stuff that was very prominent while Mercury was retrograde. Maybe you relooked at some of your investments and decided that you don't want to keep your money there or you want to move that around. Mercury moves out of Virgo on let's see, on the 4th, I think, right? And then moves into Libra, into that house, 9th house of justice. And then eventually on the 22nd, it moves into your career house, which I talked about. Now, the social planets, the planets Jupiter and Saturn, those are the social planets. That's how we interact in society. Both those planets are retrograde. There's a lot of retrograde, but things are now moving forward. Mercury is moving forward. Venus is moving forward. There was a lot of retrograde motion. The transpersonal, as we start this month, the transpersonal planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are all moving retrograde, and the 2 social planets moving retrograde. This is a time of introspection, especially in our place in society, and society itself is looking at itself and saying, what's going on here, and what do we need to what's the core of the issue here? Okay, now Jupiter is in Taurus. It's going to move from 15 degrees of Taurus to 11 degrees of Taurus. It is your home house. It's your 4th house. You could be renovating your house. Actually, this would be a time for that. We also have Uranus there, and Uranus is also retrograde this month, and it moves only 2 degrees, 23 to 22 degrees of Taurus. But Uranus is your ruling planet. And so there's a lot of, and it's in one of your most personal and in a way secretive houses. And so there's a lot of realizations that are coming to you, maybe even realizations from childhood that you didn't weren't quite aware of, seem to be coming up. A lot of that energy in the 4th house brings up a lot of family stuff and how you were raised, or things in your family being brought up sometimes rather suddenly. Having Uranus in the 4th house is difficult because it's shaking your roots. It's shaking your roots, and it's there for a long time because Uranus is in Taurus for 7 years. So there's been a lot of shakeups. Now, Aquarius is a fixed air sign, so it doesn't like its mind shook up, but it's kind of used to shock and awe more than maybe some of the other signs. So it's not a comfortable thing, but it's not something you're unfamiliar with. And then we have Saturn. Saturn is in Pisces, moves from 1.5 degrees of Pisces to 0.5 degree of Pisces during October. It's going to go direct in November. So it's really, really moving slow in your second house of what you value. And what you're learning is that you need to value yourself, right? You need to take care of yourself, take care of your money, okay? Take care of your resources. What are your greatest resources? You're getting to understand what your greatest resources are. And once Saturn moves forward, you can start moving forward on strengthening those resources. Right now, you're sort of a little halfway between, like, you're not so bad, but you're still not quite where you want to be. There's still a little to be revealed in some of that. And a lot of that will be revealed this month for you, how best to structure things so that you can have more stability, despite the fact, at least stability in your resources, despite the fact that Uranus is shaking your roots. Okay. And Neptune in Pisces for 14 years, sitting in that second house. There's a spiritualization of your values and perhaps the things that were important to you before Neptune moved into that house are changing and shifting. Neptune is almost out of that house. It's been there since 2011. It's going to move out in 2026, I think. And so we have a little bit more time with Neptune in there, and then it's going to move into your house of mind and spiritualize your mind, which, 14 years. But we can talk about that in a couple of years if we're all still here. All right. And Pluto, the planet of the soul in Capricorn, right? Did sort of peek into your sign, Aquarius, from March 23rd to July 2nd. It was in Aquarius, and then it moved back into Capricorn where it's been. But it is stationing direct. So it's in Capricorn, but it's turning around and starting to move back toward your sign of Aquarius. Pluto's been there for a long time. It's been in your 12th house since 2008. And, the water houses, the 12th house, the 8th house, 4th house, of which is very active this month for you. These are emotions and feelings, and Aquarius is not really into feelings. It's much more of a mental sign. It can be very compassionate and fair-minded, but the emotions, it tries to arise above the emotions. Go up into the clouds and sort of observe, but not really be part of it. And with Pluto in that 12th house, there's been a lot of things been stirred up since 2008. That's almost over. We do have one more moment in the fall of 2024 when Pluto moves into the last degree of Capricorn, almost like a period at the end of a very long and difficult sentence. And then it will move into Aquarius, where it's there for 20 years, and you get an opportunity to transform who you are, your identity, perhaps your purpose, right? And so that should be very interesting and exciting at the time. Pluto goes direct on the 10th. That's the 10/10 portal. Keep an eye for that reading when I do my portal readings. But whenever these transpersonal planets change direction, especially Pluto and especially Uranus, it's generally noticeable in the outside world. There's like a seismic shift. So don't be surprised if the earth keeps shaking at that time. And that's what the astrology says. Okay, so, oh no, I keep forgetting this, but I won't. It's eclipse season. Oh, like none of that was like, and then there's eclipse season, right? It's like, there's 2 eclipses. The first one is a new moon eclipse in Libra, that is in your 9th house of social justice, a very powerful eclipse, South Node eclipse. It really is the beginning of letting go of something that perhaps no longer serves, relationships that no longer serve. It could even be your relationship to yourself. Like, how are you relating to yourself? And is it moving you forward? Is it making you feel better? Is it making you feel more integrated and whole? Because sometimes we have to face the shadow stuff and it's not comfortable, but we can't avoid that either. And we can't not look at it. And we will see some of that stuff coming up. That's occurring on the 14th. It's very powerful. Mars is there with the sun and the moon, and Mercury is there at that south node. And on the north node, which is in Aries, and will be sitting in your house of mind, your third house, we have the north node and Eris, the goddess of discord. So there could be some discord in your neighborhood. Just be aware and be careful with that. And then we have a full moon, and the full moon is in Taurus. So it's really kind of connected to when the nodes were in Taurus and Scorpio, because the sun will be in Scorpio and the moon will be in Taurus. The nodes of the moon were in those signs from January of 2022 until July, this July of 2023, when it moved into Aries, and the north node moved into Aries. South node, of course, goes into Libra, and Pluto squared it. And that was, I believe that was when Trump got indicted for January 6th. Or maybe it wasn't that. There was a lot of that stuff happening at that time. It seemed to all come down at the same time. It might have even been Fonnie Willis. I can't remember off the top of my head. But we could see, like, that's just an example, this kind of like shift, going from not being held accountable to being held accountable. And Pluto squaring the nodes at that time, abuses of power that need to go through the legal system before we can actually move forward into a new direction. But as far as this full moon in Taurus, full moons are always emotional. It's an emotional release, and it's an eclipse. So there's an emotional release, and there's also this energy of like moving through an evolutionary period. And evolution usually means some sort of chaos. So we can expect that. Perhaps the full moon for you is in your 4th house with the sun in your 10th house. And so issues of security, issues of authority, both and security of physical security, financial security, emotional security, all of that stuff comes up with this. And it is connected to that 18-month period of time from the beginning of 2022 until July of 2023. So things will, in a way, come to some sort of head, some sort of culmination, we'll say. And just be aware of that's happening. That's actually happening on the 28th, I think. Hold on. The full moon, oops. Yes, the full moon is happening on the 28th. So it's going to be an intense month. So honestly, just really intense month. The beginning of the month, a lot of adjustments need to be made. First week, a lot of adjustments, so a little bit of flow. But it's going to be, for everybody, quite irritating. It's going to be an irritating month, but we'll make it through because we don't have an option. All right, that's enough of that. All right, let me stop the share. And now we get down to the card reading. And I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be using the Psychic Tarot Oracle deck by John Holland. Nice guy. I didn't meet him personally, but I did go see him. And he's from Massachusetts, so he was doing an event to support a theater group here. It was really quite, he was a nice man, nice energy. I didn't get a reading. There was like, I don't know, maybe 250 people or 300 people in the room. So you don't really get a read unless you're the person who's passed really like is jumping up and down and he can see them, I guess. But the only person at the time that I would have been interested in hearing from was my dad. And he was a Virgo, and he was a very polite man, and he would never like step forward in front of somebody who really needed the help, I guess. So, but I talked to him all. I still talk to him all the time, and now I talk to my mom as well, who's in spirit. So I could use a little advice from Dad right now, but I'm sure he'll give it to me. All right. Almost ready. It almost feels right. Okay, what does Aquarius need to be aware of in the month of October 2023? Let's see. Oh, okay. So we have fertility here. This is the Empress, the Empress energy. We can see her heart chakra is beaming the green. She's in a very poised position here. So this says that you're actually in a good place as you start the month. There's a certain amount of poise. There's this appreciation and gratitude for your situation or where you're at. Even if your situation isn't great, it's still better than a lot of people's situation. And so you're very grateful. And you're in this place of creative imagination. And so this is a very powerful time for you to co-create with spirit, to create the kind of environment in your life that you want to have. Let's see what's crossing that. Change, a change in destiny. Things are changing for all of us, really. But it's your challenge is, how do I keep my poise through the many changes that in some cases are personal to you, but in other cases are as you observe the world around you. Let's see what's underneath it all. We have financial and material changes. This is the Five of Pentacles and other decks. We see the five fingers here. There is, there is a disruption in how we earn, how money works. I don't know that much about money, which is probably why I don't have that much. It's just never really interested me, which is a terrible thing to say. And so here I am. But again, the foundations of things are shaking, they're changing. And how do you stay in this sort of poised place? All right. Let's see what the past says. So there's been an illumination. You've been enlightened. Looks like you had a few downloads recently. This is the Sun card. The Sun card often illuminates, reveals something, and in that revelation, it makes you choose to go in a different direction. And perhaps that's what all this change is about. You're trying to stay focused and calm, knowing that change is inevitable and that it's something that you've just actually decided to do. How to move forward in that. And then in this environment of great upheaval, like how do we stay in our heart space, right? I mean, the Empress here is sitting in her heart space. How do we stay in our heart space through the changes? Let's see what's in the sky. Oh, harmony. How lovely. The Lover's card. Now the Lover's card, people go, oh, there's love, and we know relationship is an issue, or is a top billing, perhaps, whether you like it or not, a top billing in your chart right now. But the Lover's card is about choice as well. It's about choice. It's not. So there are choices available to you. Let's see what's in the immediate future. Ooh, spiritual strength. This is the Hermit card, the Wisdom card. You're really going to have to rely on your wisdom this month. It's and introspective. It's going to be it's an introspective thing, but you have a lot of wisdom. Sorry, I gotta do this because it's making me a little goofy. Okay, no, that didn't help, did it? Hold on. Okay, that's better. kept seeing this like white thing on my face. It's going to take a lot of belief, spiritual strength this month. You can do it. You can do it. And you might even have to isolate yourself a little bit from the fray, you might even have to take an information holiday from what's going on in the world so you can focus on what you need to do to move forward and stay in this place of gratitude while you're moving through these pretty profound changes in your life. How it seemed from the outside that you're balanced, that you're healing, that you're doing what you need to do. It's also people can see that you're evolving, and they're kind of impressed that you're able to do this with such grace, even though inside you might be like, all right, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Like, you're not showing them that. All right, let's see. All right, so in your domestic situation, we have the 21, which is the universe card or the world card. This is manifestation, so it's a manifestation card. But once something is manifested, then you have to move on to something else, right? So this is a natural culmination time. This card is connected to the planet Saturn. Saturn is actually a ruler of Aquarius before they discovered Uranus. So when they discovered Uranus, it was given to Aquarius, but it's sort of both. It's Saturn and Aquarius, and Saturn is in Pisces now. And so there are things that you are letting go, because that's what Pisces is about, in preparation for the new birth when Saturn goes into Aries, which will happen in, I think, 2020, maybe 2025 for a moment, and then 2026. Where it stays in Aries for like that 2.5 years or 3 years that Saturn spends in a sign. Depends on the sign, depends on how fast it's going, depends. But at least 2.5 years, and sometimes a little longer than that. Okay. Hopes and fears. The waiting game. You just hope that you can do it. You can, and then you fear that, can I do this? 2 is about a balance. It's about it's like this. It's not like one's like, this is 2, right? And so you're like, can I maintain this, right? And then you hope you can. And then we have transformation, we have change. And so by the end of this month, you're going to be in a very, very different place. There's a rebirth happening at the end of the month. Underneath it all, material and spiritual prosperity. There's some emotional loss. There are some things you're going to have to give up it's going to hurt. And the solar plexus. And yet you need to do what you need to do for yourself. The solar plexus is the chakra associated with personal will. It's called Manipura, meaning lustrous gem. But ultimately, if we are in alignment with our own spirit, the solar plexus works like a laser for spirit to manifest on the physical plane what spirit, your alignment with your spirit manifests on the physical plane. So you can have what you want. It's not without its pitfalls. It's not without its challenges. It's not without some emotional pain. But I think and of course, Saturn, one of your rulers of your sign, is going through Pisces, which is about letting go. So in general, it's a challenging month, but on the other side of it, you are changed and transformed, and in a way more free, perhaps, than you've ever been. So that's the story. All right. Let's see what the animal oracle says. I've been pulling an animal oracle for all the signs as well. So let me do that. Excuse me. I got to collect my cards. All right. Let's put that over there. All right. What animal? What animal? This is using the Spirit Animal Oracle by Collette Baron-Reid. It's a great deck. There's a lot of animal oracles out there. Of course, the original was the medicine cards. I think Jamie Sams did those. And there are a couple of others, but I really like these. These are really very good. And there's a lot of animals. And of course, you know, we can learn a lot from the animal kingdom. We can learn to be kinder to the animal kingdom. Oops. All right. Ugh. We have brown bear spirit. Take time out. This aligns with that hermit card. Let's see what it says. Which it was the card for the month. So looks like you're going to have to maybe do a little bit of hiding this month. But let's see what this says. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That might not be what she says. And then it's like a hibernation. And then on the other side of it, you come out of the cave, right? Okay, here we go. Excellent. I'll hold this up. Such a pretty card. Oop, here we go. Brown bear. There is a time to act and a time to focus your attention on patient strategizing. The arrival of brown bear spirit signals that you are best served by foregoing hard work towards your goals at this moment and instead take the time out to meditate or just take a nap so you can refresh yourself and begin planning what you want to co-create next. Come to know the lay of the land as you contemplate and imagine what you might do in the vast space of possibility before you, and begin forming a plan. Remember, sleep allows for dreaming and rest allows for clear-headed strategizing. How might you become a person you wish to be and experience whatever your heart desires? Insights will arise as you explore the possibilities and begin envisioning your plan. Knowing what you want will ensure you use your energy wisely in the days ahead. Be patient at this time. Relax and be calm and peaceful, and you can recharge. The call for action will come later. Awesome. All right, then. So, thank you for listening. If you would like to give me a thumbs up, that always helps the algorithms. Share with another Aquarius, if you know another Aquarius who might find this reading helpful. If you would like to have a reading with me, I do astrology, numerology, Kabbalah readings. It's a unique combination. Most people really, really enjoy it. It helps you really connect with your soul purpose, all of that. And you can do that by going on my website. There's a link below. I do hour and a half readings. If it's your first time, I do prefer more time with you, but whatever you can afford, I do try to keep them relatively reasonable. And if you'd like to support my work, even more so, give me the thumbs up. That's the easiest way to support me. Share with somebody, perhaps. But I do have a Patreon page, and I do have a number of patrons now. They get these videos before anybody else does on YouTube. And then there are some special things that I have just for Patreon. And the more patrons I get, the more special things I can do, because I can put the time into that for you. So if you like my work and you want to support me, you can do that for as little as $5 a month. But of course, it's always up to you. And until next month, it's going to be fine. It's going to be good on the other side of this. Just stay in that heart space, stay in that gratitude space, and you're going to just, the world is changing at breakneck speed. And yeah, best to just meditate on your navel for a little while. All right, guys, take care. Much love. Namaste.